Over the years I've had so many conversations with older adults who quietly ask me, why does it feel like I'm disappearing? And not in a dramatic way, just this subtle, daily sense that people stop seeing you, stop listening. It's one of the hardest parts of growing older that no one warns you about, but I want you to know this, it's not your fault and you're not alone. In this video, I want to gently walk you through a few things I've learned that can help you feel more seen, more respected, and more alive, because you still matter deeply. Sometimes, the first thing we need to talk about is the quiet ache of being alone. And not just physically. I mean that kind of loneliness where even if someone's in the room, you still feel like nobody's really there with you. As we get older, people move on, family gets busy, and days can start to blend together. But what many don't realize is that loneliness doesn't just affect your mood. It can actually weaken your immune system, increase blood pressure, and even make your memory worse. It's not a small thing. And no, it's not something you're just supposed to get used to. I remember a man named Henry, 72 years old, lived just outside Chicago. When I met him, he'd been retired for 5 years. His wife had passed. Away his son lived across the country, and his phone didn't ring much anymore. He told me he mostly just watched TV all day, not because he loved it, just because he didn't know what else to do. One day we talked about the library near his house. They had free afternoon meetups, just folks sitting around chatting over coffee or playing cards. He hesitated for weeks, but finally he went. And what happened? He met a retired bus driver named Bill, a woman who loved crossword puzzles, and suddenly his world got a little wider again. He told me it felt like his brain woke up. What often helps in a situation like this is making one gentle connection each week. Just one. That could be saying hello to a neighbor, calling a relative, or walking into a place where people gather, like a local church, a community center, or even a book club at the library. These small steps might feel awkward at first, but they can turn into something real. You don't have to rebuild your whole world overnight. Even one warm conversation can be like sunlight through a cloudy window. You deserve that warmth. You deserve to feel connected again. The second thing I want to bring up is something I see all the time. People your age giving and giving until they have nothing left for themselves. And it's not that anyone forces you, it's just, you've always been the one others could rely on. But here's the truth. As we age, our energy changes. Our bodies need more rest. Our minds need more peace. And when you keep saying yes to everything, watching the grandkids every day, taking care of others while ignoring your own aches, you slowly wear yourself down. That kind of giving might feel noble, but it can also become harmful. Let me tell you about Margaret. She's 68 and lives in Austin, Texas. Her daughter works full-time, and Margaret had started caring for her 2 grandkids nearly every day. At first she didn't mind, she loves those kids deeply. But after several months she felt tired all the time. Her knees hurt, her back was stiff, and her patience was thinner than usual. When we spoke, I asked if she'd ever told her daughter how she was feeling. She shook her head. "I don't want to be a burden," she said. But then we talked about what would happen if she burned out completely, and how showing up half-empty wasn't helping anyone. A week later, she sat down with her daughter and shared honestly. They made a new plan, with a few days off and backup help. Margaret said it felt like she could breathe again. One of the simplest and most powerful things you can do is practice saying, "Not today, I need to rest," or "Let me think about that and get back to you." You don't have to explain or apologize. These little sentences are a way to care for yourself, not to push people away, but to stay strong enough to keep showing up. You are not selfish for needing space. Even the strongest trees need time to rest between seasons. You can be both, loving and protective of your own well-being. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Now let's talk about something I hear a lot, especially in quiet, private moments, when someone says, "I just don't feel like myself anymore." Maybe it's harder to get out of bed. Maybe your joints ache more than they used to, or your balance isn't what it was. You might feel a little more forgetful, a little slower, and it's easy to think, well, I guess this is just old age. But here's what I want you to hear. Yes, the body changes with time, but those changes are not a stop sign, they're more like signals. Signals asking for care, not surrender. I once worked with a man named Frank, 74, who lived in Denver. He told me he used to walk his dog every evening, but over time he started skipping walks because the stairs made him breathless. Eventually, even the idea of going to the grocery store felt overwhelming. He thought he was just getting old and had to accept it. But when we looked closer, it turned out he was dehydrated most days, wasn't moving much, and had let small pains pile up into bigger ones. His doctor suggested a few gentle stretches, a bit of daily walking, and a small change in his diet. It wasn't magic. But 6 months later, Frank wasn't just walking again. He was smiling more, laughing again, saying he felt like himself. What often helps is starting with something very small and kind to your body. Try drinking a full glass of water when you wake up. Take a few minutes each day to stretch your arms and legs, even if you're seated. If possible, walk to the mailbox and back. You don't need to push, and you just need to begin. Even the softest steps move you forward. Your body hasn't given up on you, and you don't have to give up on it. A little care every day can bring back pieces of yourself you thought were gone. Another thing I often talk about with my older patients is this quiet frustration that comes when people stop listening to you. Maybe doctors rush through appointments. Maybe your own kids interrupt you or act like your opinion doesn't count. And over time, you might start to believe them, thinking maybe your voice really isn't that important anymore. But let me tell you something that matters. Your thoughts, your questions, your experiences, they still have weight, they still deserve attention. Just because the world gets louder doesn't mean you have to go silent. I remember Ellen, a 70-year-old woman from New York. She had high blood pressure and had been on medication for years, but something didn't feel right. She was dizzy most mornings, had headaches, and felt off in a way she couldn't explain. Every time she mentioned it during checkups, her doctor brushed it off. "You're just getting older," he'd say. But Ellen didn't stop there. She started writing things down, every symptom, every day. She kept a notebook and brought it with her. And when she handed it to her doctor, he finally paused, really looked at it, and realized her medication was too strong. They adjusted her treatment, and those symptoms eased. Ellen told me that little notebook helped her feel powerful again. One of the best things you can do is keep a small journal. Just a few lines a day about how you're feeling, any questions you have, or changes you notice. Then when you go to the doctor or talk with family, bring it with you. Let it speak for you when words are hard. Your voice matters, even when others don't seem to hear it right away. Don't let it go quiet. Like a steady drumbeat under a song, your presence keeps the rhythm. Keep speaking. You deserve to be heard. Something else I often hear goes like this: "I know I should move more, but I'm just too tired, or too stiff, or too scared of falling." And I get it. The older we get, the more our bodies start to resist sudden movement. Muscles tighten, balance gets tricky, and even a short walk can feel like a marathon. But staying still isn't neutral. It slowly chips away at your strength, your memory, even your mood. Our bodies were built to move, not fast, not far, but regularly. Gentle, steady movement is one of the best medicines I know for aging well. Let me tell you about Robert. He's 80 and lives in a quiet neighborhood near the mountains in Western Virginia. A couple years ago, he had a minor stroke. After that, he was afraid to move too much. He stayed in his chair most of the day, watching TV, eating simple meals, not doing much else. He told me he felt stuck inside his own skin. Together, we came up with something small, just 10 minutes a day. He started stretching his arms and legs while seated, lifting a soup can in each hand like weights, and walking slowly to the mailbox. Over time, 10 minutes turned into 15, then 20. Now, he's back to taking slow walks around the block. He says it's like getting a piece of himself back. One of the easiest ways to begin is to move while doing something you already enjoy, like listening to music or chatting on the phone. You could stand and sway a little, stretch your arms out gently, or take a walk down the hallway and back. The goal isn't speed, it's consistency. Even a little bit of movement brings energy back into your day. It's like opening a window to let fresh air in. Your body still remembers how to move. Trust it. give it the chance. Here's something I deeply believe. You still deserve joy, not just peace, not just comfort, but real, honest joy, the kind that makes you smile without trying. But I know how it happens. Somewhere along the way, life gets heavy, people you love aren't around as much. Routines take over, and little by little, you stop reaching for things that once made you happy. Sometimes you even feel guilty for wanting joy. Like it's selfish or silly at your age, but joy isn't a luxury, it's nourishment for the soul. I once worked with Annie, a 67-year-old woman from a small town in Minnesota. She lost her husband 2 years earlier, and afterward, everything felt grey. Her days were quiet, too quiet. When I asked her what she used to enjoy, she mentioned sewing, something she hadn't done in years. I encouraged her to try again. She pulled out an old box of fabric, dusted off her machine, and slowly began making quilts. At first it was just to pass the time, but soon she was donating baby blankets to the local hospital and even teaching a few neighbors how to sew. Her face lit up when she talked about it. I forgot what it felt like to look forward to something, she told me. One of the simplest ways to welcome joy back into your life is to ask yourself, what used to make me feel good? Then give that thing a little space again. Even just 10 minutes a week, whether it's painting, singing, baking, gardening, at your hands, remember, so does your heart. Joy doesn't belong to the young, it belongs to the living. You're still here, that means joy still has a place in your life. Let it in, even just a little at a time. You deserve it. Let me leave you with something I tell people all the time. You are still needed. I mean that with all my heart. It's easy to feel like the world has moved on without you, like you're just watching from the sidelines now. But just because you're no longer working full-time or raising a house full of kids doesn't mean your value has disappeared. The truth is, your wisdom, your kindness, your presence, those things are more needed now than ever. I think about John, a 75-year-old retired teacher from Cincinnati. After he stopped working, he spent a lot of time alone. He told me he felt invisible, like nobody needed anything from him anymore. But one afternoon, his neighbor's teenage son asked him for help with an essay. John said yes. Then it became a regular thing, a little tutoring once a week. Soon other kids on the block started coming over for advice, and John lit up in a way I hadn't seen before. He told me it reminded him that what he carried inside still mattered. He didn't go back to teaching full-time, but that one small act brought purpose back into his days. One of the easiest ways to feel useful again is to offer your time, your stories, or even just your presence to someone nearby. That might be calling a friend who lives alone, writing a letter to someone younger, or sharing a skill with a neighbor. You'd be surprised how powerful a simple offer can be. You're not done. You're not fading away. You still have so much to give. And there's someone out there who needs exactly what you carry. The world is better with you in it, don't forget that. If something in this video spoke to you, even just a little, I want you to hold on to it. Maybe it was a memory, maybe a small idea, maybe just the reminder that you're not invisible. I'd love for you to share in the comments what felt most helpful, and if you'd like to keep walking this path together, hit subscribe and tap the bell. I'll be right here. Just remember, you're not alone, you are deeply needed, and life still has beautiful moments waiting for you.